What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the World's Worst Fishing. I'm your host, Chris Jones. Before we get started today, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We are still on the road to 90,000 and ultimately, let me see if I can focus here, 100,000. So today's video is going to be completely new. I've never done a video like this before, and to my knowledge, there's no videos like this in the bait space. We are going to be reacting to all of you guys and gals baits this time. So I'm taking the day off officially. I'm not making baits in this video. We're going to be talking about y'all's work instead. So today we're going to be doing a reaction video to all of the soft baits out there that you guys have been making. Incredible stuff. We're going to be looking at some pictures from various people's posts online, social media accounts, just all of their public content. And we're going to be reacting to what you guys are doing out there in the soft bait world. And I'm pretty excited. So let's get started. Alright, so first up we have some amazing, they look like 5-inch swim baits there from Panda Bait Company. And now these, I say these because it's actually a team. These guys are awesome. Up in Illinois, I'm in a private, or not a private, I guess I'm in like a group chat with them. So I've gotten to know these guys over the years, but just look at these baits right there. Look at the consistency. They like to do, or they excel at a lot of capsuling and then layering color up under a capsule of clear plastic. You can see remarkable consistency between each cavity. I really like how they have put that blue and orange up there in the head, and then this beautiful shade of purple. There's lots of pearlized effects there. But what really impresses me is the consistency between cavities. And we're going to see plenty of other examples today just like that. Because if you do it once, good. If you can do it 5 times like that, great. So yeah, Panda Bait Company, an absolutely incredible example there. Very mature layering, mature color building. They understand temperature. There's no cold cracks. Everything is bonded and layered expertly. Those guys are doing incredible things. Next up, Ignite Baits. So these guys pour like big time. They are doing, I guess, what could be considered production hand pouring, if there is such a thing. One of the things about hand pouring is that it's not on the industrial production scale of like big box brand injection baits. You can only hand pour so fast and maintain quality. This is obviously a really special mold. This is sort of the OG, the BTS mold, the one that's discontinued for a long time now. And I believe that color right there they did in collaboration with the great Jeff Peel from French Tackle, the GOAT of all hand pouring. We will definitely look at some Jeff Peel pours in future videos. But yeah, awesome color right there. I love how they blend that chartreuse down there in the belly. Hints of violets and blues. Looks like some silver flake for some sparkle effect, and most importantly, consistency. Every bait is a carbon copy of itself, which is difficult to achieve in hand pouring. So yeah, awesome work there from Ignite Baits. Next up, Austin Hall, Middle River Baits. Yeah, so this is really cool. This is a custom mold that he had done going on a while now. He's had this mold a long time, but what he has really set himself apart doing is his airbrush work. This is a guy that kind of has his background in injection. Used to do some awesome work in the ecto crawl and the stinger molds and things like that. Really found his voice with this, I think it's called the half wit gill. I'm still waiting for the full wit gill, by the way, Austin. So yeah, excellent work there. You can see a lovely perch pattern. Really great painting. There's a lot of guys painting soft baits. Very few do it to Austin's level. So I personally don't just love airbrushing soft baits. I tend to try to layer things in plastic, but it's a completely different effect. And he has really shown his dedication to learning the airbrush. And he's probably my favorite soft bait airbrush painter. So there. I'm gonna, obviously the picture's up on the screen, but this is just an absolute explosion of color and an explosion of time. This is a lot of work right here. The core shot stick bait worm, first introduced by Angling AI Molds. those dorks right there. This is an incredible photo. I mean, that is a ton of work. You know, it's a fun process, but it's a little bit labor intensive, you know, the core shot process. But this right here pretty much says it all. Ramsay Baits, you know, I've been following them for a long time, and I would pretty much consider him the king of the core shot. They're always spitting out amazing core shot baits, and this right here is just one of my favorite pictures ever posted in the soft bait game. Every time I see that picture, I want to go pick up my core shot mold and get crazy with it. So yeah, awesome work there. And by the way, give all these people a follow if you're not following them already. This is not really like who's my favorite list. It's just, you know, we're just looking at some cool stuff that's out there, and this is definitely one of them. So here's another really cool cool bait maker. He does a lot of really unique things, particularly with the placement of powders. And you know, this right here, I think he calls it his drip or drop effect. You know, dropping little pieces of plastic behind a capsule so that you kind of get those really illusionary dots that you see on this example. Really mature placement of color. You know, lots of powders being dusted in there, and then you can see behind there a faint scaling pattern, which I've done some scaling patterns inlaid with powders, kind of using a stencil up behind a capsule. I don't know if that's his exact process here, but really labor intensive, and shows dedication there to really trying to do something special. You know, that's the pud mold, I'm pretty sure, which is only about this big. So he's working in pretty small area there. It's a thick bait, which is good for wanting to do this. It's wide, it's deep, but it's still a very small bait. So to fit all of that effect in there is nothing short of miraculous. So yeah, really cool stuff there coming from Stillwater Bait Company. Next up is one of the GOATs, and I don't throw that term out loosely. Brad Hardy, Oracle Lures, one of my oldest friends in the bait community. We were texting like all day yesterday. We still keep in touch. He's been a little bit quiet lately, but he tells me he's going to be posting up a lot of soft bait content soon, and I hope that he does, because let's be honest, we all miss his work. But I mean, this right here, I mean, this goes back to, you know, some of the founding days of the Stanks bait mold, and all of that effect that you see there, that's all applied by hand. I know a little bit about that process. It's nothing that I've, like, you know, disclosed or anything. It's not necessarily my process to disclose, but I know a little bit about what goes into that, and that's absolutely just exquisite. And it's completely unique. There's not another bait maker doing anything that looks like Brad Hardy's work. I would say actually Stillwater is probably, who we looked at earlier, is probably the closest thing. But yeah, that's one of the best examples of the bait mold that I've ever seen. And that's just one example of Brad Hardy's work. He gets even crazier with it, but this one right here is super cool. You'll never see another one like it. He is one of a kind in both artistic expression and in personality. Yeah, okay, so here's a bait maker that I'm unfamiliar with. I wanted to add a few, or at least one, that I didn't kind of already know of the person. So as we can see here, this is, I guess what I would consider this probably a perch pattern. You know, it's got all of the hallmarks of perch. It's got the black vertical barring. It's got some orange, and then sort of that greenish yellow vibe. You know, so as you can see, not maybe quite as consistent between cavities as some of the more experienced bait makers that we've looked at, but this is really great work. He's got, to me, what this shows is he understands temperatures. I don't see a bunch of cold cracks. You know, he's gone in there and looks like put some powder in the little side fins. So he's placing color precisely. He's taking his time. You know, the vertical barring could be more consistent between each one, but that's a great color. You know, you can kind of tell when someone's a little bit new. You can kind of see a few things that, you know, you used to do before you kind of started mastering the craft. And I would say this person is on an excellent trajectory. I think they're going to be doing great things soon. So, you know, you can just see a little bit of inconsistency there. But the color and the idea and the whole concept behind this pour, I think, is really great. So yeah, check him out. Might be some cool things coming from this person. Raw Baits, Richard Ray. So this picture right here automatically just gives me a headache. That is a lot of work. Woo, that's a lot of dual injector pushing right there. However, you know, Richard Ray is, you know, widely considered, I mean, at the top of the list of people who you would consider in the GOAT status category. Just look at the consistency. That is absolutely incredible. That's the big 4-cavity ectocraw. That's some serious mastery of viscosities and temperatures to get that long of a runner to laminate that well. I have the 3-cavity version, and every now and then, you know, the one on the very end doesn't laminate as good. So this right here just displays, you know, Richard's almost unmatched, you know, dedication to the craft, and I mean the amount of patience and practice and years spent learning this that goes into just this one picture is quite astounding. You know, whenever you see a picture like this, you really understand, okay, this person has really put in the work. And everyone loves Richard's work. We've all been inspired by something that he's done at one point or another, and he's certainly not done yet. All right, so far we have looked at a ton of examples from people who have, you know, been doing this a long time. But here's one where we can offer, you know, a little bit of constructive criticism. I don't know this person, so hopefully they don't get mad at me, you know, offering a little bit of constructive criticism here. But what we see is a very ambitious type of skin pouring. It almost kind of reminds me of the Wild Berry Swirl Pop-Tarts, okay? And I actually have those same eyeballs, those hologram eyes. But as you can see, lots and lots of cold cracks. You know, his layers are in there, but they're not smooth, they're not bonded. And that's just basically a temperature issue, you know. This is hard stuff, you know. Everyone that we've looked at so far did not produce baits like that, like in the first year. I mean, it takes a long time and a lot of dedication, you know. So for this newer bait maker, you know, I would probably encourage that person to watch a few of my videos on hand pouring. Particularly, I have a video just dedicated to temperature, how to use temperature to get better hand pours, and that goes for the skin pouring as well and laminating. It's kind of all the same. You need the molds to be hot enough to where all of those layers will basically thermally blend together, smoothing out those laminates, smoothing out those cracks. You know, so with a little bit more practice, you know, this person is going to start getting the results that they want. They'll have much cleaner edges on the top. You know, if you look at the top of those baits, you know, you'll see that top edge is a little rough, and that's just from the molds just being way too cold. So, you know, with a little bit more practice, you know, if this person keeps up the ambition here, they're going to be getting those pours that they want and get those results that they want. Next up, okay, now this guy is GOAT status, Paul Crew Custom Baits. What can you say? He is one of the people who inspired me to really get serious about this stuff. So that right there, funny story, is this mold. Let me find it. This one. Yeah, that's a Noah Clark mold, or Slim's Baits now, I believe. That's his little goby. And I mean, just look at this color, you know. What I love most is that the laminates are not perfect. You know, Paul understands that there are no straight lines in nature. You know, as much as we preach pouring even laminates and you know, even lines and things like that, you also want those laminate lines to fade, right? You want to pour them straight, of course. Gravity is going to keep it equal, but you also want the color to have a gradient between colors. You want colors to blend and fade, and Paul Crew knows that better than anyone. That is absolutely incredible. I guess he's maybe just using some dotting paint or something to hand paint the eyes. I'm assuming those eyes are painted black. Incredible color there. I love sort of the green pumpkin with the purple flake on top. Looks like there's then maybe a layer of some sort of like chartreuse gold and then a white pearl belly. So like, if just at first glance, if I was going to try to recreate this one, I'm kind of going out of focus. If I was going to try to recreate this one, I would kind of start with those 3 layers in mind and then go from there. So yeah, awesome stuff. Paul Crew's incredible. If you're not already following him, you're missing out on one of the true pioneers, I'd say, of true high-end hand pouring. Next up, the Rundler, Nick Rundle. Yeah, so he is an incredible bait maker, if you can't tell by the picture. He's also on YouTube, The Bait Cave. And this guy has a strong background, I would say, in multicolor layering. What immediately strikes me in this photo, again, is consistency. Right, so it looks like we have 2 different molds there. We have 2 examples of one mold, 1 example of the larger mold. I think it's the stud and boss mold. So 2 studs, 1 boss or something. But look at how consistent they are despite being 2 different molds. To me, what that shows is a awesome concept of proportions, okay? It's easy to pour complex patterns in a bigger, or it's easier to pour them in a bigger mold versus a smaller mold. But whenever you start trying to do the same pattern in different size molds, you now have to worry about proportions, right? That vertical barring needs to be a little bit longer, maybe a little bit wider, spaced further in a bigger mold. And then in a smaller mold, you got to tighten everything in and still fit things in there and make it look proportional. So the fact that we have such 2 wildly different size baits and they look flawless from each other, to me really shows a maturity of knowing proportions and learning each mold. Because each mold, you got to learn it, right? You get the 4-inch AI swim bait and then you get the 7-inch. They pour a lot different, trust me. And you've got to learn how each one pours and how to proportion things. And that only comes with practice and dedication. And I mean, good Lord at the color. The color's phenomenal. The placement's phenomenal. What more can you say? And last but not least, here's another bait maker that I really don't know and not familiar with, Bass Piercer Baits. Okay, good name. Yeah, some basic stuff, but sometimes basic is beautiful. I don't really know if he's a new bait maker or if he's experienced. I have no idea. But I love, obviously, he understands how to take a good photo. Yeah, I mean, this is great. You know, the good old Lure Works Chameleon color. You know, you get that beautiful brown to purple kind of fade. It's like the dead on blue craw, but a lighter purple version of that. You know, got a few flakes in there to give it some texture. And really, what stood out to me about this photo is that he was able to get a photo of them that really shows the color well. He understood that in order to get I guess to take a good picture of a chameleon color, you need to photograph it from an angle with the correct lighting to where you see the effect. You can see the left side, the tip of these stick worms right here. You get that rich purple, and then it fades into the brown, and that's just the natural effect of the color. But he had the good sense to capture that in this photo. So, I mean, the photo is a 10 out of 10, and the bait is a 10 out of 10. Really, really great stuff here. And yeah, good job, Bass Piercer Baits. And as a bonus, let's give you a sneak peek of the GOAT, Jeff Peel himself, fringe tackle. Yeah, so this picture right here has made me cry many, many, many nights when I just fail over and over to reach this level. So this is absolutely incredible. I mean, these orange belly sunfish here speak for themselves. Just look at the color blending, the color gradients. Look at the shading. You know, there's not only smooth gradients between the darker pumpkin top, you know, kind of fading into that blue, and then to the white pearl belly. There's also little black splotches of shading in there. And pictures like this were really what opened my mind to what was possible with layered plastic. Not just putting a pattern down, but then adding depth to it, shading, layering, blending. All of these concepts that I've preached on my channel and taught for so many years and toiled out here so many hours to try to master really come from pictures like this from Jeff. I mean, that is of the highest level. I've never seen anybody match anything like this. I'm not talking down about myself or anyone else, but you know, there really is that dude, that bar that is set above the rest, and there's hardly anything as inspiring as seeing something like that, and that's just one out of like thousands. So you know, if y'all want to see some more Jeff pours, you know, we can all feel bad about ourselves together, and you know, we'll look at his whole catalog. Heck, I don't care. But no, seriously, he has probably inspired me more than anyone, and you can just look at this picture and tell that dude is painting with plastic on a whole nother level. That's all plastic. You know, he rarely uses foreign materials, but when he does, it's always in such a I guess mature, classy way. He doesn't make them flashy or too over the top, extravagant just for extravagant sake. It's always a means to an end to achieve a desirable effect, usually based on mimicking something in nature. And if there's one thing to admire about his work, when he makes baits, he makes them with mimicking nature in mind. It's not to impress other bait makers or to impress himself. It's to try to make something look real, and you can look at that and tell that that guy has a gift. So with that, we're gonna sign off of this portion of the video. Well, so after having our minds blown by all the great bait makers out there, well, not all of them, of course, but quite a handful, including some truly masters of the craft, we're now going to look at some of our recent stuff. These were really fun. As you can see, lots of skin layering there. You can kind of see I guess what you could call the Jeff Peel inspiration there. These are 3 different colors of plastic layered vertically, and then we have some orange thrown in, and then these blue tips, which was using Dead On Heisenberg color for the blue. And then this was sort of just a fun kind of goofy thing. I found on Twitter a picture of a nebula taken by the newer James Webb telescope, and decided that it needed to be in a worm. So we got pretty close. I didn't quite get the marbling effect that I wanted. I needed to have fired these for a little bit longer, let them get a little bit hotter, and kind of swirl those colors a little bit more. But yeah, super fun there. But yeah, those right there, this is the AI 6-inch mold, of course. That one right there was super fun to do, and super hard to do, might I add. And then we actually looked at this color earlier, some of the LureWorks Chameleon pigment in the AR craw. So we ran a bunch of these, and we've got a bunch more left that we can remelt. So yeah, just figured I'd at least show y'all a few things that we were doing after looking at all the great talents out there. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. Sort of a different kind of thing. I've always wanted to do a bait maker reacts to other bait makers video. You know, I watch a lot of content on YouTube on like wristwatches, and I mean, golly, what else? I'm kind of drawing a blank here, but you know, one of my favorite things to do is to watch reaction videos to other people's content or other people's creations, you know, in the arts. So, you know, like a drummer reacts to a Thomas Lang drum solo or something. So anyway, I kind of wanted to bring that to the bait world. Let me know in the comments down below if y'all enjoyed a video like this. We will certainly do more, and we will catch y'all in the next one.